Hey, the MVP race for the NFL, I think might be over. I think it might
Oh,
finally be over. And I wasn't expecting this. There's still a week to go. Now, obviously, things can change, but it looks like Drake May's got it in the bag after what happened on Monday Night Football.
no.
Matt Stafford, 3 interceptions, one pick six, another that should have been a pick six. I mean, he just stepped
Oof.
out of bounds. I mean, it was a bad game for Matt Stafford. Falcons take down the Rams 27-24. Let's talk a little bit
Yikes.
about Monday Night Football. We can talk about this MVP race, but I mean, first of all, the Falcons. I mean, taking down the Rams. The Rams were seen as one of the best teams in the NFL, and now I think they might be broken.
I think the Seahawks literally broke them. That game was so epic, but I think that they took something out of the Rams and out of the life that they had. The Falcons obviously needed that win. Now 7-9, still third in the NFC South standings per my count, which I'm not the
Yeah.
best at counting. More of a vibes, guys. We have clarified multiple times on this show. But the Atlanta Falcons still a legit team. It's just a little surprising that the Rams, I think that's how I view it. The Rams didn't look as good in this one. Bijan Robinson obviously was great. Kirk Cousins, not necessarily too bad, 13 and 21, 26 and one touchdown. You could argue he had a better night than Matthew Stafford. The Falcons just did enough in this one, in my opinion, to stay afloat. Like they didn't get too flashy or anything too crazy. I don't know. This is, to me, I raise more questions about the Rams losing than the Falcons winning in this one. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I will say I'm interested in seeing what the Falcons continue to do here. Obviously, their defense has got much better over this season. It was one of the worst pass rushing defenses in all of the NFL last year. They go and get some pieces in the draft, and this defense looks a lot better. This defense for the Falcons, especially on prime time, has done a very good job at shutting down some big name quarterbacks. Josh Allen, Matt Stafford, Sam Darnold, they've done a very good job at taking care of business. They just haven't had this consistency on the offensive side with either Michael Penix or Kirk Cousins or whatever the case may be, the receiving core being injured. There's been some issues. I wonder if wins like this, where you have a potential getting to the closest you can get of being 500 without actually being over it with the 17 game schedule, you can potentially be 8-9 on the season. And of course, you play the New Orleans Saints to end your year, who is on a winning streak themselves. I wonder if this saves Raheem Morris's job because there's been a lot of talk about if Raheem Morris is the right guy for the continued success of the Atlanta Falcons, who have been down in the dumps over the last couple seasons. I wonder if this late season buildup is enough to save his job.
Yeah, you could definitely make that argument. It's kind of the same thing. It's not the same, but kind of the same thing as what happened in Miami when it seemed like the writing was absolutely on the wall for Mike McDaniels, and then the Dolphins ripped off quite a few wins. It just kind of depends on the ownership, right, and what they've seen, and if they believe in the vision or not. I would say that this is this win in and of itself, not even if they finish. I think if they lose to the Saints, like yeah, it's kind of wraps, but if they can finish 8-9, this win could be the one that sets Raheem Morris over the edge of like, okay, we'll give you one more year, or at least portion of next year. We'll see how you start through the first 10 games. If you have a winning record, 6-4, we'll continue that because 6-4, I mean, geez, they would have to go 1-5 to get to the point that they're at now, 7-9, right? That'd be a great start to the year for the Falcons. So I agree with you though. I think this was a massive win for the Falcons organization. I would be curious. I'm not super tapped into Falcons Twitter. How do Falcons fans feel about another year of Raheem Morris?
Yeah, I would be curious that as well. And obviously, they can't rebuild in the draft right away. They traded their first round pick to get that pass rush in last year's draft to the Rams. So the Rams actually losing this game not only put them lower in the NFC standings, that also took them out of the consideration of potentially having a top 10 draft pick in the draft next year. Now, who knows if the Rams actually need it? A lot of people are thinking maybe they would use it on a quarterback. There's been obviously the rumors of them putting their picks together and trying to trade up to get a Mendoza with McVay, which would be insane to me if
Oh,
that actually
wow.
happened in real life. But now you're sitting with the Rams as the 6th seed in the NFC playoffs. If this season ended today, which we are only a week away from that happening, they'll play the Philadelphia Eagles in the first round of the playoffs. How confident do you feel about the Rams right now? They have to head into to the link to take on Philly.
I still feel pretty good about the Rams. I mean, this was an ugly loss, but honestly, it hasn't shaken me too much. Like they're not some superpower, I would say. Like they're pretty good, It's just based on vibes. Like if you don't want me to break down the actual stats on what a Rams versus Eagles game would look like, vibes wise, still feel pretty good about the Rams. I mean, they made a push late in this game. There was a situation on the sideline with Puka. What happened there? Like they very much were at least in the conversation to win this game. It's not like they lost this game to the Falcons by 30 points. Which after that, I'd say, well, maybe they are just straight up broken, right? Maybe they have been completely lost in the sauce. But no, they were in it. Obviously, a bad game for Stafford with 3 picks, and you mentioned a pick 6 could have been 2. I would say that as long as Stafford doesn't have a game like that, they're in a game against the Eagles. That's how I would perceive that. But no, this is I'm not counting the Rams out. Basically, is what I'm saying.
And as long as Drake Maye doesn't have a game like Matt Stafford did this past week, I think Drake Maye is going to be the MVP. And as you as a Patriot fan, you probably really like that. He's currently at 4,200 yards, 30 interceptions, 30 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He's been sacked 47 times, by the way, and he's still doing these kind of numbers. That's one of the highest sack rates in the NFL, and they're still finding a way to do that type of success when they get the amount of offensive line help around him, which is what they're going to build on in the offseason and the draft. It's going to be exciting. Obviously, having Will Campbell out doesn't help that conversation as well. But Drake Maye, I think, is only going to get better, and we could see him as the next MVP this season. I mean, you're talking about year 2 as Drake Maye, and now he's going to be the MVP. I mean, this has got that Tom Brady vibes to it. You're a vibes guy. Is this what you're feeling?
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that. I want to bring up a stat really quick. Do you know what Drake Maye's stat line completions wise was this last week?
Let's hear it.
19 of 21. That means that he had 2 incomplete passes. How many interceptions did Matthew Stafford throw yesterday?
He threw 3.
Ooh, more interceptions than incompletions is not a good stat if you're Matthew Stafford. No, vibes wise, it is actually incredible that I have gone from Tom Brady to Drake Maye in my lifetime. And I mean,
don't forget Mac Jones.
Yeah, you had Mac Jones. You had Cam Newton in there. I try to honestly put that behind me, but I can't believe that this pick worked out. I was actually terrified that the Patriots would fumble. That was the 3 overall pick that it just wouldn't work out. But Vrabel seems like he's a perfect hire, and Drake Maye is really the real deal. There's something about the way that he operates. I've watched a handful of Patriots games, but anytime they're in prime time, I am staying on until he gets done with his presser, because they usually have him join like Scott on Sports Center or whatever it is. And man, the way, or if it's even just on the field, the way he talks, you can just tell he's got what it takes. He's got the mental. Yeah. And that's something you can't really coach. Like, you can have a player out there who makes all the right reads, who throws the ball in a tight window, who can extend plays. But it's something here in the way they approach the game. It's not even in the mental side of the game, the reads and whatnot. It's in the way they approach the game. Drake Maye's brain is operating like an MVP. It's operating like a guy who can win 6 Super Bowls, which I'm not saying he will, but it's just the way that his brain functions. It's there, which is super, super exciting. And obviously the stats all worked out this season where he's at least a front runner to win MVP. It's not over yet. But I'm more excited about the future of New England. If they can keep him around, which I think if we learned anything from Tom Brady, you keep guys like this in the building, you keep him around, New England is going to be back to seeing a lot of success.
It's unfair for me to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways. Drake Maye, this is year 2, and he's already maybe most likely going to be the MVP. It took Tom Brady year 8 to get his first MVP. Really, year 7, if you want to talk about year 7 of starting. It was his 8th year in the league, though, in 2007 when he got his first MVP. Tom Brady's MVP years 2007, 2010, and 2017. He's ahead of pace if you want to put him in there. I mean, where does this show that you are potentially on a Tom Brady trajectory, or you got to worry about those Super Bowl rings first? Get yourself in the mix first. You got an AFC championship. Maybe we should pump the brakes here. I know it's unfair, but should we have this conversation? Should it begin?
I think if you're Drake Maye or anybody in the Patriots organization, you're going to hear the same answer. Or if you ask them, excuse me, they would all give you the same answer. Like, hey, we've got another. We got to get the Dolphins out of the way. That's how I would approach it too. I want to see them attack the next game, and then once we're in the playoffs, it's first game, second game. Obviously, if it's a wild card or a first round bye, it's going to affect if you're where you're starting wild card or divisional or whatever. I think that the way that's what I was talking about with the mentals is that Drake Maye and everybody in the building feels like they're taking it one game at a time. And yeah, he's probably ahead of pace if he wins this MVP of Tom Brady's career, which is awesome. But I will say, to play devil's advocate here, just trying to keep myself on earth, is that the pace at which the NFL moves is much different now, right? Like if Drake Maye wasn't, basically MVP caliber in 4 years, is he still the starter, versus Tom Brady, who it took him, 7 years of being a starter to get to that MVP level. I'm not saying that he's going to be done if he falls off next year, but I think that the way the NFL operates is much different now. And so, it could be a quick, well, you had your flash in the pan. We haven't really seen much over the last 3 years. We're going to go ahead and move on. Your rookie contract's up. We're going to try somebody else. I think that would be maybe the dumbest thing the Patriots have done, but I could see something like that operating or happening because this NFL landscape is very much different than it was in 2007, in 2005. I would say this guy's very capable of doing great things for the Patriots, but he's going to take it one game at a time, and I am going to take it one day at a time here.